What I'm working on right here is just a figure drawing, sort of a study. Um, I actually have a teacher that I work with every few weeks or about every month. I'll send him money and he'll create a lesson specifically for me. His name is Richard Friend. He's a professional artist, inker, illustrator. He does a lot of work with different comic book companies like DC and I think Image Comics. He's really incredible. And he has a YouTube channel. Uh, it's just, you just look up Richard Friend, you'll find it. And then he has a Patreon where for like a pretty low price, he uploads like almost a video a day. So for anyone who's an artist or has some interest in drawing comic books or interest in being a better illustrator, it's like a incredible resource. Um, but what we've been talking about in the last lesson that I had was adding blacks and like being creative with it. So in comic books, not the lighting isn't always accurate, but you want it to be attractive and exciting. I mean, it just depends on what you're working on. It can be whatever you want, but it doesn't like I guess what he was trying to tell is like stop thinking about, you have a pretty good idea of how the lighting works, but try to be more creative with it and look at like the balance. Um, it's sort of an intuitive thing. Just I've just been working on it for the last like couple weeks, trying different things, and the current comic book that I'm working on now doesn't have a lot of backgrounds in it. It's sort of like atmosphere, but some of the ones that I want to work on next do. And so like right now I gotta start practicing putting some backgrounds in. So that's what I'm doing here today. Uh, I wish I would have filmed myself doing this whole drawing and inking, but I don't know, it was late at night, I just didn't think to do it. So the last well, 2 nights ago, um, I left work. I got in my car to start my car. My car wouldn't start at all. So my boss tried to give my car jump. He had cables, luckily. Nothing. So I felt bad, him and my other coworker had just got out of work. So I was like, I called my boy. He came. He knows a lot more. He knows a lot about cars. So he brought all his stuff so they could leave. And then we sat there trying to clean the terminals on my battery. And, you know, he went as far as to like unhook the ground wire and like try to clean it. Car shit is always it's a hassle. I think we really take for granted that we can just drive around anytime. People who have cars, but you get so used to it, and then when it all of a sudden you can't, it's like, oh shit, And now I have this big, giant piece of machinery in my work parking lot that I have to figure out how to get to the shop. So after we fucked with it for like 2 or 3 hours, I felt so bad he had to get up and go to work in the morning. I was like, just take me home, it's all good. Like, thank you so much for trying to help me. All my neighbors are home. They're just stomping on my head right now. Hopefully you guys can't hear it too much, but he took me home, and then I talked to one of my other friends, and he was like, maybe you should just take care of it tonight, because it's Thursday night, and if you can get to the shop by Friday, maybe you can have your car for the weekend. I was like, yeah, you're probably right. So I put in a request for roadside assistance, and then I hurried up there on foot. It's like a 20-minute walk, thinking that the tow truck would be there right away, which was foolish on my part. But the way that made it sound on the phone and through the request was, they kept texting me that like, oh, sorry for the delay. Sorry for the delay, with the same text like every 10 minutes or something like that. So then I realized that I could just leave the keys in the visor, which made me a little bit nervous, but it was like, whatever. I don't want to sit here all night. So I left it, walked home, and then after a while, it was like, oh man, like, is it actually gonna come? I'm reading all these reviews online about roadside assistance where they just didn't show up. So I called and they're like, yeah, we're working on it. And then finally, like 5 in the morning, I got the text confirming that it got picked up and taken to the shop, which was a relief, and I finally went to sleep. And then, the next morning they called me, the shop did, and they were just like, your starter's bad. It was like 500 some bucks. Yeah, it's not the end of the world. It's always a bummer when you get a bill like out of nowhere, a medical bill or a repair bill. I live in an apartment, so I don't have a house, but I imagine people have houses. Like all of a sudden, your furnace goes bad or something like that to replace your dishwasher, whatever. But yeah, and I wanted to go with my friend Josh. I talk about him sometimes on the channel. He's the person that I do the other channel with, Comic Book Lexicon, and he was going out to this place called Lang's in Muskegon, and it's a comic book store inside of a mall, but the mall's so old that they have like 3 different storefronts inside this mall, and one of them is just like what they call a warehouse, and it's just like a big room just full of bins, and almost everything is $1. You just dig for old stuff. It's like one of my favorite places to go, but also what happens when I go there is I pick out like a big pile of books, like 40 comics. I'll spend $40 on that, and then I'll buy some other stuff. I usually don't leave there spending less than $100. So he's going with his roommate anyway, so it's not like I bailed on him. It's just I just decided to stay home. I got a bunch of drawing to do and try not to spend the money after paying that repair bill. Supposed to go see one of my other friends is in town from Chicago tonight, so I'm gonna go see him. Yeah. So yeah, car shit is always the best. But what I'm doing here is I'm trying to add some textures in, like a ground texture. I don't know what I'm doing here. This is almost like I'm turning my brush pen on the side and I'm trying to get some unique textures. But this is much, I took some drawing classes when I was younger, a teenager, and I took art classes in high school, but I don't have any real formal training. So I think a lot of my doing art over the last 10 years or more has been just trying stuff. You see something in a book and you try to imitate that technique or whatever, and then you figure out that it's, you can't, then how you slowly sort of figure it out. That's like really how I learned how to paint. I didn't really have any instructions. I just started trying all these different things, and over time I was able to figure out a system. Now, I haven't been doing painting for a long time. Once in a while I'll do it just because, but I was doing painting and then collage, and I still do my collages, but right now I'm just focusing on drawing and doing sequential art. So you can actually save a lot of time by learning the techniques instead of just trying them out. And now there's unlimited resources with YouTube and books and stuff like that, but the dry brush technique is one that I see in this, you see it in a lot of stuff. But there's this comic book called Wolf and Cub, and he does some stuff like that, and it's gorgeous. Now, I never really knew it was that gorgeous because when they reprint it in black and white, it's such a fragile technique that it loses some of the power of it. You lose some of the marks. But then I looked at the artist edition of it. I ordered it and I got it in the mail, and it's like the original scans of the original pages. So you get to see it exactly the way it was created, or as close to the way it was created. as possible, and it's incredible. So I don't know. I it's a huge series, but I wish they would just go back and print it like that. I don't know. I think I don't know. It deserves that respect, I believe. I think enough is lost in translation that I don't know. They probably should reprint that whole series, that whole giant series. I mean, I don't know. It has to make sense financially, I guess. Sadly. Um, yeah, I feel like I'm fucking rambling today. I don't know if I'm saying anything of any interest, but it's Saturday and I just got up a little bit ago, and it was, well, it's quiet again, so I wanted to record something. Like I said, these first, I don't know, 10, 20 videos are all going to be kind of like trials, trying to figure out what this is, or if I want to continue doing it. So it's like I said before, it's kind of low energy, but I like that about it. I have my book right now is available in my shop. The information will be in the description of this video. The book is called Where the Devil Dwells. It's a 56-page art book full